Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I will review with you some of the items I purchased from sustainable and ethical brands, and I will first discuss the brands themselves to see if they are really as sustainable and as ethical as they claim to be, or if they are just greenwashing. And then secondly, I will review the items to see if the items themselves are well done, high quality, and they are actually good purchases. The reason why I'm doing that is that these items most of the times are expensive, or anyway more expensive than their fast fashion counterparts. So it does make sense to try and understand if it's really worthy to invest our money to support these brands or not. The first brand is Shannon June, and I have to say that of all the brands that I will talk about today, this is the best from a sustainable and ethical point of view. So from an environmental point of view, they are reducing as much as possible their CO2 emission and their water waste. They are also working only with either recycled materials or certified organic material like organic cotton and linen. And they are using their own cut-off of fabrics to create scrunchies. That for me is very great, because it is showing that they are really trying to reduce as much as possible their waste in every single aspect. From an ethical point of view, they are tracing their entire production line, and they are only working in a low or no risk country. They have a very strong code of conduct, and they are using both independent and in-house audits. So again, a great point. And from an animal point of view, they are not using any kind of animal fabrics or derived from animal fabrics, so they are vegan friendly. Also in terms of diversity, because this is something that I really pay a lot of attention, especially when I'm browsing online, to see if they are representing all type of women, and that's because not everyone is the same, so it's nice to see if they show different ethnicity and body shapes. And I have to say that in terms of ethnicity there is some diversity, which is great, but not really in terms of body shape. Everyone is pretty tall and thin. So I have two tops from these brands. One is the one that I'm wearing, and the other one is my lemon top, which if you follow me you have already seen many times, but it's now in the wash, so I will put a picture here. And they are both in recycled polyester, which is more environmentally friendly of course than virgin polyester, and they are two very nice tops. On the downside though, they are still polyester, so they have all the problems of any other polyester items. In particular, they do release microplastic, and they make you sweat because they are not breathable, which is not really nice considering that these are two summer tops. So if you want to know more on the downsides of recycled polyester though, I advise you to watch my video on the topic, and I will link it above and down below. And the other problem for me is the fit and the cut of these tops. They are honestly not really well cut. They have a very strange shape. They are very like squared and boxy, and in this sense they don't fit fantastically. They are very difficult to wear and to pair because they have a strange shape, and they do show a lot of bra, which is not particularly nice for a summer top again. So would I buy for them again? I don't know. As a brand, generally speaking, as a brand, I would absolutely buy again from them, because it's an amazing brand to support. I would be absolutely happy to support them. But I would pay much more attention to the fit. I don't know if I would just order online. I would rather like find a shop that sells them and check everything how it fits, because I noticed that in terms of fit it's a little bit of a miss. The second brand I want to talk about is Barcelona, and they are also doing quite good from an environmental point of view, in the sense that they are also producing everything locally to reduce as much as possible the CO2 emission. They are also working on the water waste emission, which is very good, and they are also only working with either organic material or recycled material. Also, in terms of animal ethics, the only animal product that they are using is wool, and half of it is actually recycled wool, and the other half is certified organic and from farms that do not use muesling. So they are still trying to look also at the ethics of animal farming, even if they are using an animal product. And in terms of people, it's probably the part in which they're lacking the most. They do trace the majority of their production line, and they are only producing in the EU, so in no or low risk country in terms of labor abuse. And they do have a code of conduct. However, it is not exactly clear how enforcing this code of conduct is. And also they do not seem to use audit, which is not a great thing. In terms of diversity, they have no diversity at all in their website, but to be fair to them, they only have one model and they're working just with her. So it's not that they don't have diversity, they're really just working with one person, so it's fair to consider that. And in terms of what I have a pair of pants, which are these ones, and I have to say I'm a little bit biased because these are one of my absolute favorite pieces in my entire wardrobe. They are super comfortable, they go with everything, you can super easily dress them up or down, so very versatile, and they are extremely breathable, which means that even in the hotter day you don't feel particularly hot, and that makes them an amazing traveling piece because it is still breathable and it avoids like sitting with the bare legs on horrible train seats and this kind of situation that can be a little bit nasty. So in terms of cons, I can actually think at only 2 points. The first one is that the cotton, it's 100% organic cotton, and it's not as elastic as normal cotton is. It is actually quite stiff, but it is something that honestly you notice only when you're putting them on. Once they are on, you have no problem at all. As I said, super comfortable. And the other cons, and that's quite a big one, is that the organic cotton is better in terms of water waste than traditional cotton, and they don't use fertilizer, but they are still it is still a very resource intensive kind of material because it still requires a ton of water. So next brand is a brand that I'm particularly happy with talking about because they are Italian as me and they are doing very great. So I'm always happy when my connationals are doing good things. And this is Progetto Quid. From an environmental point of view, I would say that one of the greatest things they do is that they do partner with other brands or factories that produces fabrics for other brands. And they use their cut-off and leftovers fabric to create their own garments, which means that they are using fabrics that would have otherwise been wasted. And also they are partnering mainly with Italian brands and everything is produced in Italy, which means that the CO2 emissions are reduced significantly because of course everything is produced in the same place. And in terms of people, they are also doing pretty great. They have a project in which they are employing mainly women from difficult backgrounds, mainly domestic violence, immigrants or people surviving from sex trafficking, etc. And they are employing them with the idea that they can teach them a job, and then either they can stay there or go somewhere else, but they have a skill that they can be employed somewhere else, which I find pretty amazing. From an animal point of view, from what I understood, the only fabrics that they're using that as an animal product is wool, but same as the other fabric, it is something that would have been otherwise been wasted. In terms of diversity, they have the same situation as Kus in the sense that there is no diversity whatsoever in the website, but that's because they're working with only one model. In terms of what I have from them, I have a pair of pants, which are these wool pants here. And in terms of pros, I would say that they are incredibly well made and the fabric is incredibly good quality, and that's another good thing of this brand, that because they partner a lot with the luxury brands or producer for luxury brands, that means that you will have something that is a very high quality but for a fraction of the price of what would have costed if you went for the luxury brand. So that for me is a plus. So in terms of cons, I would say that the main cons is that they are made in wool And if you are a vegan, that can be a problem. I think it's up to you to decide if you are okay with the fact that it's anyway a leftover fabric, or if you want to go for something else. So the last brand I want to talk about is called the Rebello, and it is also an Italian brand, although I have to say that I'm not as proud as the other one. Because of all this brand, this is the one that offers the least information on the website. So what they say is that they are only working with the natural or recycled material, and that's certifiable. Also, they offer an overview of the certification that either they or their partner brands have, and that's also very good. The problem is that they do not really trace who are these partners, which means that even if they say that they produce everything in Europe, it's not really traceable. And in the same way, even if they say that they do pay a living wage, it's also not traceable, and that's not something I particularly appreciate. Also, they are using wool and leather, and although they are ensuring that this comes from ethically sourced sources, but it's not an entirely vegan brand, and that's also something to consider. In terms of diversity, I have to say that they have a quite good diversity in terms of ethnicity, but again, not in terms of body shapes. And I would say also of ability. I would absolutely be happy to see also some disabled people as models. I don't see why they shouldn't be modeling. They also need clothes, so why shouldn't they model for their clothes? And in terms of what I have yet another pair of trousers, and I have this pair of electric blue pants. And I have to say that again, I'm biased because I love these pants to death. I use them to death. They are more on the formal side because this is a real fitted pants, but they still have a very nice and interesting color. And the size, the cut and fit is amazing. It's really incredibly well done, and the quality is fantastic. So I can't say anything in terms of quality. In terms of cons, I would say again, this is entirely organic cotton, and same as before, organic cotton is still a very resource intensive material. And also I would honestly want more information on the website. Now, when I bought these pants, I bought them in a shop that had many sustainable brands, so I didn't buy them directly from Rebello. And I talked with the guy who chose what brand to work with, and we talked about the brand, and he ensured that it's an amazing brand, and I have no reason not to believe him because I had a very deep conversation with the guy. The problem for me is that this is not something I should know because I talked with someone. This kind of information for me should be very easily accessible and should be like on the website very clearly. So again, I am sure that this is only a problem of having a very bad website, but yet it is something that for me needs to be said. I would prefer more transparency. To conclude a little bit the discussion, I would say that in terms of ethics and sustainability, Shannon June is definitely the best brand, but not really in terms of quality of the clothes, unfortunately, at least not in my experience. While the other brands are maybe not as on point as Shannon June, but I can absolutely swear to their products. They are incredibly well done and very high quality, and I've used all of them to death, so they have been like pretty hardly tested. Also, I would say that all of them offer a good mix of more classic and neutral cuts, which is what I went for because this is my style, but they also have a very nice and interesting patterns and shape, so they have something for everyone, I would say. I also want to say that no matter what, they are still expensive products. Even if I would say that they are not crazy expensive, and if their prices is justifiable, because at least the majority of them can certify that the products are high quality, the material are quality, and that they are paying a living wage for their workers. So of course this adds up and makes them obviously more expensive than fast fashion, but it's still they are still expensive products, and I'm absolutely aware that not everyone can afford them. But if you can afford them and if you can save up a little bit more, I would say that they are worthy. And to conclude, I also would say that anyway, these are still new products, and as sustainable and ethically as they are made, the most sustainable option is always either not buying or buying secondhand. So this is also something to consider. And thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you already knew of these brands and what are the experiences with these brands, especially if they are different from mine. I would be very curious to know. And until next time, bye!